Hello, family, and welcome to another episode of the Good News Network. My name is Luke Speckman.
And I'm Brandon Speckman.
And we're here to share with you the latest miracles that God has brought about across our movement of churches. Today, we'll start with the highlights from the recent Hawaiian Islands Missions Conference and follow that with two special announcements. Later, we'll have a mercy moment and a day in the life of our dear sister, Marie Louise, in the Abidjan Church. Finally, we'll close out with good news from around the world.
Now, the Hawaiian Islands Missions Conference was hosted by the Honolulu Disciples at the end of February into March. And what a better way to start off their weekend than with a miracle. In the spirit of Ohana, a Hawaiian term which means family, a 14-year-old young woman named Meliane was baptized into Christ. Now get this, it's in the same spot where her mother Darby was baptized over 33 years ago. How special is that? Some other highlights were their Mercy Day, where the disciples wrote over 300 creative and heartfelt birthday cards for terminally ill children, and also came together to worship God and receive powerful charges on the power of mercy. Compassion in action. The weekend included inspiring preaching, sweet fellowship, beautiful performances, and closed out with two glorious baptisms on Sunday. Welcome to the family, Meliane, Colin, and Abby.
Congratulations to our Hawaiian family on another fantastic conference. And now we have two very special announcements.
We're so excited to share the release of a very special new addition to the sold-out Press International collection, and that is A Woman's Prerogative, Overcoming Bitterness by Jeannie McGee. Jeannie's own life experiences have culminated in this deeply insightful and invaluable book. It offers multiple tools and journaling prompts to aid in the healing and forgiveness process. Please go to Amazon.com to add it to your library today.
On earth, do it again in London, do it again in the nations.
Train ourselves to find our confidence in who He is rather than who we are.
We'll have failure. The key is not to get down. The key is to stand up and do great things for God. Amen.
So God allows you to go through desert times to train you.
The call to evangelize the nations in this generation.
Have the power to make a decision, to see your joy in our lives.
Hang on to His love and never quit. No matter how faithless you get.
Do you change from your times with God? That is what it's for.
Worship helps us to be strong and healthy, not weak and bitter.
To discover God's strengths, which can become our strengths.
And leadership skills, but to raise up men and women of God.
The heart of God and affect generations to come.
And be right with God so God can dwell in us.
Pray until you feel God in your heart.
Congratulations, Jeannie. We can't wait to read your book. And family, we are so excited to see you this summer in London. And now for a mercy moment.
Mercy Seattle and Seattle ICC are joining forces with the Seattle Union Gospel Mission, a legacy organization dedicated to helping the homeless since the Great Depression. UGM hosts a 2-year program which provides guests with food, shelter, life skills, and resources to rebuild their lives. Each month, every Bible Talk in the Seattle ICC serves at one of the Union Gospel Mission's shelters, serving bread and breaking bread, living out compassion in action. Mercy ambassadors joyfully prepare and serve breakfast to guests, creating a warm, welcoming environment for those in need. Excitingly, this partnership is entering a new phase. Mercy ambassadors will undergo specialized training to join UGM's search and rescue teams, going into the streets to find and help the homeless by bringing them into recovery shelters and walking with them on a path toward hope and restoration.
Thank you, Seattle Church, for implementing the movement-wide 2025 Mercy Initiative for every Bible Talk to organize monthly service projects in their community. And now for a day in the life of Marie Louise of Abidjan.
Becoming a disciple is truly the greatest thing that can happen to anyone. For discipleship teaches us to deeply love our condition, to depend entirely on God, and to trust Him fully. It brings us true happiness and lasting peace. Discipleship is filled with challenges, but they are for a good cause to make us better. It's a precious treasure. Guard it closely. Preserve it well. Invest in yourself for a brighter and better tomorrow with God. No matter how hard it gets, stick with God. I'm Marie-Louise Beignet, married to Evangelist Marius Beignet and mother of 3 wonderful children whom I affectionately call God's blessings. Eldest Killian at 7, youngest Melvin at 5, and Benjamin Eva Karen at 2.5. I'm a women's ministry leader at Abidjan International Christian Church and leader of the Precious Campus Super Region. I was introduced to the faith by Marius Beignet while I was studying at university in Guinea. Marius was an exceptionally bright student who often helped his fellow students grasp difficult subjects. Through this, he developed a friendship with me and became my mentor during my time at university. He seized the chance to invite me to study the Bible because he noticed my deep passion and love for God. I immediately accepted his offer out of sheer curiosity, eager to learn what else he might teach me that I hadn't known before. I delved into studying the Bible and was amazed by the revelations I uncovered about it. 3 significant studies truly captivated me. The concept of discipleship, the contrast between darkness and light, and the profound significance of the cross. I finally grasped the true meaning of my existence, and with great eagerness, I reconciled myself to God through the waters of baptism on the 19th of April, 2012. I married Marius Beignet on April 3rd, 2016. Later in 2020, we received the Lord's call to dedicate ourselves to full-time work. We immediately gave up our careers to serve in full-time ministry. By God's grace, on January 30th, 2022, I was appointed as a women's ministry leader in the International Christian Church in Abidjan, alongside my husband, Marius Beignet, who was also appointed on that day. My day starts with God. The moment I wake up, which is usually between 4 and 5, I begin my day by praying and meditating. Then around 5:30, I start preparing the kids for school. When they leave, I head out to what I like to call my office, which is the Kokadi campus. Once I arrive on campus, I begin with Bible studies, participate in training, and make contacts to invite them for Sunday services. I use this time to encourage and visit those who are in need. Then at 6 p.m., I return home to take care of my family and spend time with the kids who have just come back from school. The most significant challenge I encountered in this year, 2025, was facing imprisonment for baptizing a 17-and-a-half-year-old emancipated teenage student. The parents raised concerns that their daughter had become excessively zealous. Similar to Peter and Paul, I felt joy in enduring such trials for the sake of Christ. During my time in that prison, I spent my days singing and praying. I felt both happy and honored to have gone through this ordeal. The glory of God finally manifested when I was set free. 2 Corinthians 5 verses 14 to 15 says this, "For the love of Christ urges us on, for we believe that if one died for all, then all died, and that he died for all, so that all who live may no longer live for themselves, but live for him who died and rose again for them. From now on, everything I do for Christ."
Thank you, Marie, for sharing your life with us. And now for good news from around the world.
For many countries, March 8th marks the celebration of International Women's Day. And so this past month, many of our churches were in preparation for their annual Women's Day events. This is a busy time as the sisters pour themselves out to organize, invite women in their communities, and to glorify God with these gatherings. Starting off in Sydney, the sisters hosted a blow-away event with podcast hosts Michelle Williamson and Kristen Smith as their keynote speakers. God used the 33 hardworking sisters in Sydney to bring out 190 women. That's 5 visiting friends and family for every one sister. Also, in the Oceania World sector, the Disciples of Manila worked hard to have a total of 5 campus Women's Days all around Metro Manila, with the theme Glow Up. Across all the universities, 60 campus sisters had 223 in attendance, and many of these women are currently studying the Bible. In Cotonou, Benin, the sisters had their annual Women's Day on March 23rd. 15 sisters had 85 guests and the faith-building baptism of Gloria at the close of their event. And get this, after the event, 30 women studied the Bible on the spot. Way to go, Cotonou sisters. Also, in French-speaking Africa, God was glorified as the sisters in Abidjan had 501 in attendance at their Women's Day and 10 additions, 9 beautiful, glorious baptisms, and 1 restoration. One particularly inspiring baptism from that day was Clemence, who was formerly a female pastor in her denominational church. Clemence claimed to have the ability to heal people by laying on of hands, and yet, after studying the Bible, she realized that she was in the dark and not a disciple. With great humility, she decided to repent and get baptized for the forgiveness of her sins. Welcome to the kingdom, Clemence. Over in Kinshasa, DR Congo, the sisters had their annual Women's Day on the theme Set Free from John 8:32. The keynote speaker was the women's ministry leader of the Kinshasa Church, Lily Ngungu. God was glorified with 602 women in attendance and 8 amazing baptisms. Excitingly, 3 more women who had attended Women's Day were baptized 1 week later. In Dallas, the women rallied together for a gorgeous event, and all were fed physically with a delicious buffet and spiritually when keynote speaker Helen Sullivan preached with deep conviction their event title, Beloved, and they had 1 beautiful baptism. On the same day, in the same spirit, and with the same exact theme, Beloved, the Phoenix sisters had a room filled to the brim with women excited to connect with each other and learn about God. They had special performances, a powerful keynote speech by Kimberly Hammond, and a long line of stunning raffle baskets gifted at the end. In Chicago, Illinois, the sisters hosted 4 glorious Women's Day events around the city. The mighty 190 Sisters of Chicago had 463 in attendance. In the Central North region, Courtney Parlour delivered a captivating lesson on their theme, What Women Want, and they closed out with 3 precious baptisms, one of them being a former Buddhist turned disciple of Jesus. Over in Boise, Idaho, God worked powerfully through the women there. The 4 sisters of Boise hosted a Women's Day event with an amazing turnout of 5 visitors for every one sister. Please keep them in your prayers as many of the women who attended are currently studying the Bible. Now over in Eurasia, in Moscow, Russia, the sisters there had the same theme, What Women Want, and they included in their event a masterclass, dancing, and a buffet. It was no surprise this small but mighty group of 12 sisters had over 1-for-1 visitors, and they had an incredible time celebrating God and womanhood together. Now, there have been so many more amazing Women's Days that have happened around the world that we just don't have time to share about. However, we do want to share about this last one. On March 22nd, in our Crouching Tiger 2 church in China, the sisters were in preparation for their Women's Day entitled Peace and Heart. However, because of the tight restrictions on Christian events in China, the authorities interfered, and the disciples were forced to change locations the day before the event. Through God's providence, they were able to transition last minute to another venue. And the 12 sisters welcomed over 50 women for this inspiring event. In a country where it's illegal to evangelize and the majority of churches have been driven underground for fear of imprisonment, this was a time of peace and inspiration for all to be in sweet fellowship and learn about God. By the end, many expressed a desire to learn more about the Bible. So please be praying for sisters and their continued faith and perseverance in the face of opposition. And family, please continue to pray for all the upcoming April Women's Days. And finally, a huge congratulations to all the sisters around the world for your hours of hard work, love, and care you put into making your Women's Days special. We celebrate and appreciate all that you do for the glory of God and the growth of His kingdom.
The European World Sector had a fruitful first quarter of incredibly talented men and women. For example, in Berlin, Germany comes two exciting conversions. Joel, a 24-year-old semi-professional footballer, first attended church in Berlin. While with family in Barcelona, he visited the church there, where he studied the Bible and realized he was not saved. Then, upon his return to Berlin, he continued his Bible studies and was baptized. Joel's childhood friend and fellow semi-professional footballer, Esai, was inspired by Joel's radical changes. So he too sought the truth and was also baptized just 2 weeks later. It's such a blessing to have a movement all over the world, and the opportunity to work together for souls to be added to God's kingdom is priceless.
In the Promised Land World Sector in the Dubai Church, Zach and Ariel Shields have been powerfully leading the way. This year, they've added 11 souls through baptism in this Muslim nation. Most recently, they baptized an Afghani national who converted from his Muslim background. Now, good news in Brazil. In the first week of March, the angels rejoiced as we witnessed 3 different disciples baptize their parents. There's nothing more special than being able to guide your family to Christ. Welcome to the family, Claudio, Christina, and Elizabeth. And family, most of you will remember that soon is our upcoming special missions offering in the U.S. churches, where we will have an opportunity to financially support the missionaries around the world who God is using to make these miracles happen. Thank you to all of those who are already hard at work raising money through creative fundraisers and financial sacrifice. Your generosity means so much and is resulting in spiritual fruit all over the world.
Since the start of 2025, we've witnessed a collective 810 baptisms and 81 restorations in our churches. That's nearly 900 souls coming to the Lord since the beginning of our year of righteousness. What an inspiration. Family, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Good News Network. Please share with your family and friends and follow us on Facebook and on Instagram so you can see daily posts on all the good things God is doing through the Sold Out movement. This is Luke and Brandon Beckman reporting to you from the Good News Network.
The best news you'll ever see.